All right, so transformations, there's three types, well, four types, but there's three types of rigid transformations. The first type is translations. There's also reflections, and there's also rotations. Another type of transformation is dilations, but it's not a rigid transformation because it actually changes how large the graph or the item is, the figure. So find g of x where g of x is the translation 2 units down of f of x equals x squared. Write your answer in the form a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k, where a, h, and k are integers. Now this is called vertex form of a parabola, and what each of these does is it tells you something. So the first parameter, a, this tells you the direction that it opens. It tells you if it's positive, that it opens up, or if it's negative, that it opens facing down. So if it's positive, the parabola faces up like this, and if it's negative, then the parabola faces down like this. So if the parabola is reflected, this will either be positive or negative depending on how it's reflected. All right, the x stays the same. The h value actually tells you, since it's paired with this x, the x-axis goes left and right. This h tells you how far it moves left or right. So think of that as the how far left or the how far right it moves, right? So if it's moving left, it's negative. If it's moving right, it's positive. But be careful. Be careful. I'm going to put a star right here, because the thing you need to be careful of is there's a negative in this equation, right? So if we're moving to the left, it's negative, but a negative makes it positive. If we're moving to the right, it's positive, but when you plug it in here, this negative makes it negative. Last but not least, the k, since you're just adding it on at the end, it's just moving it up or down. So this moves it up or down. And as you could probably guess, up would be positive and down would be negative. Sorry, this is a slash. Okay, so using this information, we can write equations of a transformation of the parent function, f of x equals x squared. All right, so let's see which one we want to use here. This says find it when it's a translation 2 units down. So down means that we're going -2 on the k value. So we're just going to write this exact thing, but we're going to write -2 at the end. So g of x would be x squared -2 because we're moving it down 2. Let's try the next level. All right. Find g of x where g of x is the translation 8 units right. So to the right means we're putting a plus because right is positive, but we're plugging it in here for h, right? So we need to put our x in parentheses. So we're going to have parentheses x minus, from the equation right here, h, which is 8 units to the right, positive 8. So that's just a regular 8. Squared, because there's a square right here. This is still a parabola. And are we doing anything else to it? Not moving it up, reflecting it. Okay, so that's all. All right, this one is a reflection, right? So that's like in this this red transformation here. It looks like this. Since we're reflecting it across, that depends whether it's positive or negative. This one's positive, right? This is positive x squared. So since it's being reflected, we're going to make it negative. So negative x squared. Let's jump to the next level. Now see, once you get to this level, I'm going to clear the screen so this isn't all in the way. Once you get to the next level, once you get to 65, you're going to need to write the equation from the graph. So let's just think about how this was moved around, right? So let's just kind of sketch really quickly our initial x squared. And let's think, how do we move this to get down here? Well, we moved it down 8, right? When we move this down 8, what we're really doing is taking x squared and subtracting 8 from it. All right, how about this one? Well, if the parent function, the original parabola, was right here, and I know I'm drawing this a little bit poorly, but bear with me. What did we do with it? Well, we moved it to the left, and that point right there is -3, right? We moved it left 3. So that would go right here. This moves it right or left. If I plug in a -3 here, I would have parentheses x plus 3 because it's a minus, negative, or positive squared. Now let's look what's happening to this one. It looks like a J, but what you need to realize is that this is still going, right? This still continues. It has a little arrow there. It tells us it keeps going. So what did we really do? Well, we moved it to the left. That looks like -9 because it's between -8 and -10. So this is similar to our last one. It would be x plus 9 parentheses squared. Remember, because of this -9. Let's go to the next level. All right, so here this one's a little bit trickier because now what we're doing is we're doing 2 transformations because we're taking it, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left, that's -4, and then we're going up 1 also to put it over here. So we're doing 2 things. We're going -4, and remember, right and left is how the h parameter is affected. And then we're also going up 1, right? We went up 1, so that affects the k value. We moved up plus 1. So let's go ahead and plug everything in that we have. We have parentheses x. Let's see, a -4 would be +4 squared plus 1. This one's a little similar to the last one. We're moving to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's plus 7 because it's to the right. It's not negative, it's positive. And then we're moving up 1, positive 1. And a lot of it is just keeping it straight, right? So for this h value, we're moving +7. And for the k value, we're moving +1. Just be careful when you plug it in. The biggest mistake that I see is people forget to switch this sign right here. So this would be x minus h7 squared plus 1. All right, so hopefully you're comfortable doing this. Try this one on your own. And we would have x, we're moving to the right 8, so that would be -8 because of the negative sign in the equation squared, and then we're moving down 3, -3.